they feel like a particular demographic that they are like in the presence of they might not get it. I just want there to be like an openness.
Today on Flow and Tell, we hear from a young couple who are new parents to two extremely adorable girls. This is Kyla, and this is her husband, Taylor.
And then you can do the same for me. That's so sweet of you. Thank you.
Do either of you find it awkward talking about menstruation?
I think in general, I'm a very open person wanting to share details and talk about things. So with Taylor, but also with strangers, I could tell someone on the street what I was dealing with and that wouldn't bother me. So I'm all about having conversations like this, which is why it's great that we're here. But I wouldn't say there would be any awkwardness at all, mainly because I didn't have any struggles with my period as well. And also going way back, which I'm sure we'll get into more of this, but my parents were very open and supportive as well about me getting my period when I was young and just kind of, being there to offer their advice and guidance and things like that. And because I had those open conversations all along, it's easier to have them now. But perhaps if I did have some struggles or any issues with my period, then maybe I'd feel differently. And I'm sure you got sick of hearing me talk about my period all the time when we were trying to have kids. So there's that side of it too, when there are issues going on, not wanting to feel like I'm just constantly like complaining or bringing it up. But no, I wouldn't say there's any hesitation. And if there were issues, if I would talk to you about it.
I mean, on the topic of like, me feeling or you feeling like you were like complaining too much about it. I mean, especially since it was in service of us trying to have a child, I definitely was not annoyed by the frequency of how much it was brought up, because it was, something that you were struggling with, and by extension, I was struggling with, and by extension from that like our relationship was struggling with, because of the impact of, the idea that maybe this thing that we want to do might not happen. And maybe we can take, an alternative route like IVF, in vitro fertilization, but who knows if that will work. And, there's a lot of things up in the air.
How has having two young daughters influenced the way you think about talking about periods?
Well, I tell Taylor all the time he has to prepare to be able to go out and, buy various menstrual products for his daughters, because I remember, and my mom always reminds me of this, don't forget, your father would go to the store and pick out the tampons for you girls because you wouldn't want to go do it. So again, I think that's so important, right? It's something that you want to be open about. It's something that men don't typically have to deal with, but if you have daughters, then yes, you do have to deal with it, and you have to educate yourself so you know the conversations to have with them, but also so you know how to support them and what they might be feeling and what you need to do for them. And these things need to be addressed early on, because as much as I felt super supported all through my teenage years and everything around this topic, I can't recall if it was something we really talked about until it started.
Taylor, what role do you think fathers should play in educating their daughters about periods?
I mean, educating, like, there is a point at which it's like, I don't have the experience. So, there's only so much that I can educate on, in terms of like the actual experience. But being a part of the conversation, as much as humanly possible, I think is really important, because I don't want Zaya to feel like men have nothing to do with periods, and that they don't need to have anything to do with menstruation, and they don't need to know about it. And it's just something that, it's only something that, people with a uterus are dealing with and have to think about. We've been in that boat of, we want to have a kid, and that's challenging for us. And if I don't have a clue about what a period is or what the menstrual cycle is, then, I'm starting from a significant disadvantage. in my ability to support you. And, Zaya will, be with somebody someday. And if they don't have a period, then I want that person to know as much about menstruating as possible so that Zaya can feel safe and supported and cared for and understood.
What's the appropriate age to start talking to your children about menstruation?
I don't know what's the appropriate age. I mean, thinking that my period started when I was 12, maybe that's a conversation you want to have by the time they're 10, maybe before that, in a way that they can kind of comprehend the basics of it. But I think it can be quite simple when you do have that conversation, in the sense that it's like, hey, as a woman, once a month, we bleed, and it's just a normal process. It happens to all of us, and there'll just be a bit of blood, maybe just for like a couple days or a week of each month. It's not a big deal. It's totally normal. Mom and dad are here to support you. You can ask us questions anytime you need anything. Just let us know. You won't necessarily know when it's going to happen, but it's not something to be scared of, because it's just going to be a little bit of blood each month, and it's totally normal and it's fine. And just reiterating that it's totally normal. It's fine. If you need anything, we're here. But don't worry about it. I tend to keep things like quite basic in the beginning. I mean, I know Taylor loves to really go into detail on some things, and sometimes like, well, that's over their head right now. So,
Taylor, can you explain menstruation to your 6-month-old daughter in an age-appropriate way right now?
For Naya? Okay, here. Here, Naya. Ba. Ba ba. Ba ba ba. Excuse me. Ba ba ba. Flow.
Kyla, tell us what you remember from the first time you got your period.
It was after school. My dad was home. My mom was still at work. And I was trying to figure out how to use a tampon for the first time. And my mom will remind me of this story often, that, I was getting my dad to basically call my mom at work. And this was from a landline. We didn't have cell phones then. And I was in the bathroom, and my dad was kind of relaying what my mom was saying on the phone. And they were like, just have a hot bath and just relax your body. And then, once you're relaxed, then try to do this. And my poor dad relaying the message, he's a classic, girl dad, just trying to handle all this stuff for the first time and being so sweet about it.
He's such a dad. And knowing your dad is important in this context, because your dad is like, hey, Malcolm, what's going on? Oh, yeah. Very well. I'm very good. I'm very good today, Taylor. Well, how are you today? I can hear him being like, "Well, Kyla, just relax your body. Take a warm bath. Make sure it's not too hot and not too cold."
Let's play a game. You'll see some cue cards on the table in front of you. Some are questions, and some are words that you can give us your thoughts on.
Okay. Ooh. Would you rather have a period that lasts only one day but happens every week, or a period that lasts 31 days but only happens once a year?
Interesting. I guess one day a week, because it's just one day. Whereas that month, you don't necessarily know what you'll have going on. That's a very long stretch of time if you've needed, I don't know, like some people don't like being on it when they travel or various things. But yeah, I think just the one day a week.
All right. Well, my personal preference
for the period that you're going to get.
My personal preference for my period would be I'd just go with I'd just math the math, and I'd say you got 31 days if you're dealing with it for a month. You've got 52 days if you're dealing with it once a week for every year.
But a month, like 30 days in a row, is a lot.
You're almost getting you're almost up to a 50% increase if you do one day a week. Okay, and let's think about it this way. Think about government policy. Okay? Now, I know y'all probably didn't have this thought, but if every person who menstruates on Earth had it for a month every year, especially if it was the same month. That's not going to happen. But if it was the same month, you'd have a period month. There'd be a period month for sure.
Yeah, but what if you had pain for 30 days straight, though?
That's what I was thinking, that you would not want to deal with that for 30 days straight.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just one day of being uncomfortable, you're like, it's one day, I'll be better tomorrow. 30 days in a row, it would really get to you.
Would you like to pull another card, Taylor?
Period poverty. Okay, so this is something that I have just become aware of really
I've never heard of that.
Over the past, I guess it would have been over the past several months now. The amount, I believe the stat is 25%. Is that correct? 25% of Canadians who menstruate have to basically choose between, are they going to get menstrual products or are they going to get groceries or pay rent or, that sort of thing. There's a pretty major issue with accessibility to menstrual products.
I know in the past handful of years, there's been more awareness around that and more push to have free products and more access. I hadn't heard that term before, period poverty. And it certainly makes me feel a lot of things now because it is something that I haven't given enough thought. I do often think about, right now, like back to school or food banks or things like that. Holidays, I'm quite aware and always wanting to give back and provide to people and donate things, even clothing, whatever extra things we have around the house. I'm constantly thinking of others in that sense and how I can help. But I've actually never donated menstrual products. So now this is a huge wake-up call to me because I am wanting to help others and, with whatever extra things that we may have, I love to help others in that sense. And yeah, I'm now just feeling these emotions and things like that because that's really tough, especially to imagine someone who's young starting their period and having to go to school and not have access to those products. Like that would greatly affect someone's mental health and their confidence or self-esteem, so many things. Just, having accidents at school and around their peers and things like that and not feeling that they could do anything about it just because they didn't have access. So yeah, there are programs now. Like I said, I have heard more about it, more people talking about it and trying to take action in the past handful of years, but I'm not sure the scope of those. Are people actually able to get those products if they need to quite easily, or is it still very difficult?
Kyla, why don't you pull one?
Ooh, last card. Environmental impact. I didn't think about this that much until you shared with me, about Aruna that we're here speaking about today, because it was just kind of like you have your period and you have to use something and that's that. And tampons is what I've always used. Now, there are different options for tampons over the years. I remember trying ones without applicators or with cardboard applicators, plastic applicators, different things. But ultimately, when I was getting comfortable using tampons, I was more drawn to the plastic ones because they would insert more easily. So that was kind of what I ended up using. And then creatures of habit, we kind of stick with what works. So for many, many years, I ended up using the same kind of tampons that had plastic applicators without really thinking about it. This is also coming from someone who is vegan and very aware of the environmental impacts of our diets and the products we use and not wanting to use any, chemicals and toxic ingredients and things like that. And being so aware on that side when it comes to personal care products, like moisturizers, creams, nail polishes, things like that, cleaners, and then also all the foods that I eat. So I feel that I actually think about these things a lot more than maybe the average person. And yet I haven't thought of the scenario of the tampons that I've used for many years.
I mean, it's, again, from working with Aruna and being kind of like brought into the fold on something that everybody should know about. Everybody, not just if you have a period, is one thing that really stands out to me that I've learned that I didn't think about before. I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that this was that there was a difference between these two things, but the difference between biodegradable and compostable. I think that, if I was going to put my conspiracy hat on, I would say it's intentional. If I was going to, give the benefit of the doubt, I would say that it's accidental. That at least from the industry standpoint, there's a bit of an incentive to try and make it seem like those two words, biodegradable and compostable, are synonyms, and they're not. And when I learned the difference between those two, I mean, basically that compostable is essentially a quite a regulated term. And in order to be able to put the word compostable on a product, it has to meet pretty strict standards to be able to say that about a product. Whereas biodegradable does not have to be put to the test quite as rigorously to meet the term biodegradable. Basically, everything compostable is biodegradable, but not everything biodegradable is compostable. And so, I think it's something like 20 billion pads and tampons, menstrual products, end up in a landfill every year. And it's like 20 billion. I mean, 20 billion. You can't even wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe just in North America.
Yeah. No, it's so fascinating and crazy. And also, I can't believe that I haven't given it more thought, because I have used these products. And another thing I'm realizing when you just mentioned pads, because when I think about periods, I think about how I have only been using tampons for so many years. But I just had 2 babies. I used pads for all the postpartum bleeding that you experience. So we're talking about a lot of period related things, but after you give birth, whether it's C-section or vaginal, you bleed for like a month, and you bleed a lot. So you are constantly changing, soaking through, and you can't use
all day, every day.
Yeah. And you can't use tampons. You can't insert things at that time because your area is very much so healing. So you're just changing massive pads and going through so much plastic and so many things constantly. That's a whole other thing we didn't even consider.
That's crazy.
Speaking of menstrual products, Jeremie is going to place some on the table, and I'd love for you to give me your thoughts on them.
Okay, well, I know that the only product here that is compostable and will not destroy our planet or the wearer of the product is this pad. This is the first time I'm actually opening one, so I'm not like super knowledgeable.
Just to clarify, this isn't a regular pad.
No, this is
the Aruna pad.
This is a compostable pad from Aruna. And okay, there we go. It's opened up. I know about the wings because I've seen a lot of commercials. I know that that the wing part of a pad is a highly advertised part of it. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, looks totally normal.
This looks like, I mean, again, never used a pad, but God, when you see like a commercial for pads, I mean, like, God, it looks like they're advertising like you put on this like technological like airplane on your vagina. This looks so.
Sorry, not on your vagina, on your underwear.
On your underwear, on your underwear that like sits. It sits between your underwear and your vagina, and this just looks so like down to earth. No pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels nice since it's not plasticky.
Taylor, what does the sticky part on the pad stick to?
This. Okay, so you take these off, and you. This has got to be the inside. So, but then that would stick to your... Wait, no, is it? Do I have it upside down?
I can't blame you. You would have no reason.
Do I have it? Do I
had opened a pad before?
Oh no! Wait! Oh no! Wait! No! That would be outside because that's because this surface is like.
But
all right, guys, you got me.
How does it attach to your underwear?
Does it go like this? Does it go? Does it fold? Does it fold under? Okay. Okay. This is like and this has got to be an Olympic sport now. Hold a baby while you put a pad on a pair of underwear.
Welcome to my life.
I'm gonna go
doing all the things.
I'm gonna go. Oh, okay. I got it stuck like that. Does it go like this?
Yeah, but how is it stuck?
How is it stuck? No, the tape. Do you fold the tape under like this, so it's like that, or am I? And then you're gonna take me to school. Okay, where did I go wrong?
Kyla, how would you grade that?
I mean,
general way.
Yeah, you're just missing a key part, which is the entire pad also has a film that you remove to stick to your underwear, not just the wings.
Oh, that's what this is.
Yeah. So that's how it attaches.
Ah. See, now that makes way more sense.
And I'm sure normally that stuff is also typically plastic. So
God, don't fall off the table.
This
man.
is way better.
Well, you know what? See, this is the type of training that I need because we have 2 daughters, and you're gonna probably put one of these in your underwear someday, my darling, and and I might be the one that needs to show you. So this is good. This is good practice. There we go. What do you think? How did Dada do? Thanks. That's like a big nipple for you, isn't it?